Welcome to Weird Mob Media. I'm Jake and I'll be soloing this film analysis. In this life, some people see the world only on the surface. What they can see and easily prove is reality. Others believe the world has hidden properties, elements that are
paranormal
or occult in nature. Incident at Raven's Gate is for that latter group. However, that's not to say the former can't suspend their disbelief
and had themselves a ripping time too.
What's going on? I don't know!
The film opens with Sergeant Taylor, played by Max Cullen, called in to investigate the Cleary farm and locate a stolen footy trophy. He encounters astrophysicist Dr. Hemmings, played by Terry Camilleri, who you might recognise from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure as Napoleon, and finds the property in ruins. From there, the story follows the 5 days leading up to the incident. Set in the fictional outback town of Ravensgate, the film follows Eddie, played by Stephen Vidler, an ex-convict living with his brother Richard, played by Richie Singer, and his sister-in-law Rachel, played by Celine O'Leary. Eddie has a fling with the local barmaid, Annie, played by Saturday Rosenberg, who is pursued and constantly harassed by Felix Skinner, an opera-obsessed police officer, played by Vincent Gill. As if there weren't already enough drama, these characters are also at the centre of strange happenings that involve mysterious lights in the sky, electrical disturbances, and unusual cases of helium-based sicknesses.
What's happening?
Now, I am going to put a spoiler disclaimer in this particular part of the video because I do want to talk about an aspect of this film that is served as mystery. So I'm going to give you a couple of seconds to get out of the video, and too late, the narrative follows the codes and conventions of a tale out of UFO folklore. It is heavily implied that the malevolent force in this film is extraterrestrial.
It's too bad you couldn't restrain yourself.
Although this isn't explicitly confirmed until much later.
The green man, eh?
I feel compelled to push through this sense of suspense because the story is fairly predictable. Whenever strange lights appear in the sky, the explanation is almost always aliens. That being said, I don't believe this was done intentionally to preserve the audience's sense of curiosity or intrigue or mystery. Another reason I don't mind discussing this element, but rather to follow the conventions of an ostensibly real-life encounter with aliens and UFOs.
You don't expect us to believe that demented bullshit, do you?
When considering films in this subgenre, whether War of the Worlds, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, or E.T. the Extraterrestrial, the alien presence is explicit. Good or bad, the audience is immediately acquainted with it. Incident at Raven's Gate, however, takes a different approach, adopting a psychological thriller angle commonly found in alleged real-life UFO encounters. In 1978, a young Melbourne pilot named Friedrich Valentich disappeared during a solo flight. To this day, neither his remains nor the wreckage of his aircraft have been found. His final words over the radio before his disappearance were, Melbourne, that strange aircraft is hovering above me again. It is hovering and it's not an aircraft." According to her book Encounter, Callie Cahill recounts her 1993 experience driving through the Dandenong Ranges, during which multiple witnesses, unaware of each other beforehand, reported seeing an orange light in the sky before being attacked by demonic beings that emerged from an aircraft. Both of these cases in Australian ufology, along with many others from around the world, follow a similar narrative formula. Something strange appears in the sky, malignant entities attack people, and while the general listener might instantly assume extraterrestrial involvement, the creature's origins are never explicitly confirmed, since the full truth behind these accounts are never uncovered. Or, of course, one might believe that these accounts are simply fabricated. Point is, whether you accept them as real or not, they possess a certain intrigue, a structured ambiguity that keeps the listener engaged. That is precisely the approach taken by Incident at Raven's Gate. While we're on this topic, what are your thoughts on these apparently real-life UFO and alien encounters? Which case convinces you that they might be real? And if you don't believe, why not? Let me know in the comments below. If you're enjoying this video, please give it a like. And if you'd like to see more content like this, focusing on film rather than alien-related topics, consider subscribing. It really helps the channel. Thank you. The making of this film was somewhat shambolic. It took roughly 8 years to complete and release, having been originally conceived in 1980 from a screenplay by James Michael Vernon. Vernon ran up Rolf de Heer, the film's director, and offered him the project. As the years went by and funding for the film remained elusive, they eventually brought in Anthony Ganane to produce Incident at Raven's Gate and address these challenges. He secured $2,500,000 in funding from the South Australian Film Corporation and arranged a distribution deal with Hemdale. Ganane and Hemdale were ultimately responsible for the film's obscurity. Ganane's company, in need of immediate cash, hoped to raise funds quickly by releasing the film simultaneously in theatres and on VHS.
You've got to be joking.
Effectively destroying its chances of exposure in its native Australia.
You want to kill them, same as you want to kill me.
Really? Why would I want to do that?
In the United States, Hemdale distributed the film despite failing to pay the filmmakers their distribution guarantee, an upfront payment from distributor to producer that legally enables them to distribute the film. The filmmakers considered suing Hemdale over this breach, but were informed that 41 lawsuits were ahead of theirs, and by the time they could take action, Hemdale would likely have no funds remaining. And indeed, by 1995, Hemdale had been liquidated. If you're a believer or simply a film goer interested in a different kind of story about otherworldly presences, this film would certainly be one of my top recommendations.
Told you we get first class treatment.
Some of my favourite alien horror films, such as The Thing, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and They Live, excel at turning the monsters into a visceral, somatic nightmare.
That's like pouring perfume on a pig.
Incident at Raven's Gate, however, presents an almost incorporeal depiction of an extraterrestrial threat. Not once do we see a ship, nor do we glimpse the visitors themselves. Yet their presence is felt palpably throughout the film. Not to mention, any film that features a bar full of roughheads listening to Split Enz' 6 months in a leaky boat while guzzling grog and starting fights holds a special place in my heart. The rights to the film are somewhat entangled. However, Umbrella released it in Australia many years ago, though it is in need of a remastered re-release. That said, you can still watch the film on YouTube for free, if you don't mind VHS quality video.
We did our best.
We're Mead Mob Media, my name's Jake, and thank you for getting this far into our video. We'll see you later.
How about it, Cleary? You want to wear a dress?
Don't think any of your dresses would fit me.